Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 67 of the Beyond the Ring with Big T Wrestling podcast. And I'm your host, Big T. This is your episode for Wednesday, June 21st, 2017. And I got to tell you, I'm truly honored to be sitting here tonight with all of you and to introduce my next guest for the show. I can't tell you how honored I am right now. This man worked in WCW for many years, and he was around during the big Monday Night Wars when all that stuff was going on. And we have none other than a WCW legend, the innovator of the selfie, Mr. Sonny Onoo. How you doing tonight, Sonny?
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's a beautiful day, and I'm having a great evening talking to you.
Hey, and I'm having a great evening talking to you as well. I'm so happy that you accepted the invitation to come on the show. Thank you very much again.
Oh, my pleasure. I just got back from Lucha Pride Pro Wrestling Show from Mineola, Texas, which is right outside of Dallas. And, a lot of former WWE and WCW stars on the card. And it's fun to get back and see all those guys. Rodney Mack was there, and Morty Humongous, that's the main event. And Jazz from WWE was there. I mean, it's pretty good stuff.
Oh, that sounds incredible. Just to go back and hang out with everybody and catch up on old times, that had to be awesome.
Yeah, right now, I think it's, although wrestling as a business per se is obviously it's nothing like the way it was back in, late 90s and early 2000s, but, it's really great for fans because there's so many talent out there that it's not on WWE contract, and even TNA guys can work a lot of independent shows. So it's a way for you to go out and see some of the big superstar that you see on television or you've seen in television, to be able to go to these independent shows and actually be able to shake their hands and get a photograph with them and stuff like that. So I think as a fan goes, I would really recommend them to go to a lot of independent shows, see who's on the card, on your local card. Tickets are a lot cheaper. And you get to actually, feel the sweat flying off the guys, So I think it's a great time for fans right now.
Oh, definitely. I'll tell you, the independent wrestling scene is absolutely incredible. I agree with you 100% because, I pretty much done it all when it's come to wrestling as far as, go around and see the shows. I've been to 7 WrestleManias. I've been to, TNA shows. And I got to tell you, the indies, the independent wrestling, it's a very up close and personal, intimate setting where you really get to talk with the superstars, and get to interact with them. It's really an experience like no other. And for like you said, the tickets are not expensive at all.
No, it should be to have, heck out of going to a movie. You know what I mean? Because it's a live show. You get to see some of the amazing talent that you get to see, and some of the guys are something you can talk about years from now, and you can say, "Hey, I took my kid to see so and so," on local venue, and be able to talk about that because before WCW and before WWE, when it was WWF. Back in the days, probably before your time, but when there was the territories, that's what it was. They would come around once, twice a year to your town and put on a heck of a show. Up here in Minnesota, it was AWA, it was Vern Gagne and Masa Saito and Crusher, and those are the guys. Buck Zumhofe, and they were bigger than life guys that came to your town and tore it up, you know. So right now, I think there's opportunity for a lot of fans, wrestling fans, to go out there and catch some of the, a great talent at some of the independent shows. But anyway, enough of promotion. Um, um, there is one group that I'm really loving it. It's called the Hoot Slam. Those guys are out of Oakland. They do a show once a month or once or twice a month, but they put up some very unique talent. It's a little bit risky and probably adult oriented. Kids are not allowed in the place, but it's a lot of fun. They push the envelope a little bit, but like I said, there's a lot of stuff out there that you can pick and choose what you like.
Oh, definitely. And I gotta tell you, I'm one of those fans. Like I pretty much love all wrestling, but I gotta say, I'm still in that mindset. You know, back in the day when you were in WCW, you know, having the Monday Night Wars. I'm still kind of in that era of pushing the envelope. You know, that's one thing that I just loved about pro wrestling was that edginess. You know.
Yeah. Well, you turned in because you didn't know what was going to happen.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah. So it wasn't, like the current stuff that it's on there now. I think kind of suspense is gone. You know, they're but I mean, they're trying and they're doing the best they can. Um, it's easy to sit outside and watch and critique the show, but it is a hard business, for the talent, for the wrestlers, and everybody that works in business. You're away from home a long time, many days, and it's a tough life. But they do it for the sake of entertainment. And I will say, I will probably tell you, 95% of the people in the business loves what they're doing. So, that's a fact. So, kudos to those guys who continue to do that. But, when there was a Monday Night War was going on, it was a great time because there was competition, two big company going head to head, trying to outdo each other as far as what they were producing for the fans. But it was a great one of the best times for the talent because talent can leverage themselves and get the best payday they could. And one of the things that Eric Bischoff did to order to compete at the beginning, a lot of people don't know it, but he was back in the days. Their pay scale wasn't guaranteed. They would get a percentage of the gate depending on who you were in the lineup. So, if you were a headliner, main event, you got so many percent, and if you were the guy who was opening the show, you got a lot less. But that's why you want to get yourself over and work your way towards the main event. You can get paid more. But what Eric Bischoff did is change that to you were television talent. You're on TV. You got guaranteed money. You got paycheck every 2 weeks. That changed the business. And not only that, for the first time, and many of the wrestlers' lives, they can count on that they had a guaranteed contract, whether it was a year or two or multi-year. They can count on that. They can go and buy a house. Bank would really look at you seriously. So I think it was the best time for the talent. It was the best time for the business because company was making money, and it was the best time for the fan.
You know what, Sonny? Back in the day, you're 100% right. It was best for the fans because you had that variety and WCW. Now I always say this, and I'm curious if you will agree with me on this. Because I always say this to people when I talk wrestling, and you were around during this Monday Night Wars time. And I just wonder, like now WWE, how it's no mystery, that the business has changed, like you said, and things are a little tougher now. And but back in the day, WWE, like now it seems like they're complacent. They just stay, doing what they're doing, and they really don't change stuff up. But when you guys in WCW were around, it's like you guys really pushed WWE's back up against the wall and really got to challenge them, and it was just tit for tat in the ratings war. I mean, I remember when you guys were going back and forth one time, and there was one time you guys were up for, I believe, 84 weeks straight. And
Yeah, we beat him. Yeah, 84 weeks in a row. And and you have to understand. I mean, I didn't. I was not involved in programming or booking, but you when you tuned into WCW, I think one of the things we did best was that we gave them variety. Now, in other words, yes, we had a beginning the show where the big stars, the major stars like Hulk Hogan and Sting and Ric Flair, Lex Luger, those guys, would start the show with a bang and tell you that, and let the audience know what the storyline from what last week was and where he was going. The main event of the night will be, and so on. And then, but as the match went on, there was no, there wasn't a lot of talks. There was more. There was a lot of wrestling. If you remember, many of the second hour, beginning of the second hour, we always started with like, Ultimate Dragon versus Rey Mysterio. Well, let me tell you something. You don't need any storyline with that. If you're a wrestling fan, you're going to get phenomenal action in the ring when Ultimate Dragon wrestles Rey Mysterio, or Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko. You're going to get amazing wrestling match. So, I think we gave them variety, and of course we had, I was fortunate enough to manage people like Bo Nakano and Akira Hokuto, who ended up being the last WCW Women Champion, going head to head with Medusa. So I think we gave. That's one of the things that WCW did back then, was we gave them variety of the matches, and not much dull moments.
Oh, definitely. Like you kept the entertainment factor, at an all-time high, and you brought it to the TV screens every week. I know I was entertained, and it was just a fantastic time. But before we talk more about WCW, because I know we'll talk more about it a little bit later, one place I would like to start off with you, Sonny, for fans to know more about you is, approximately, how old would you say you were when you first discovered pro wrestling, and what was one thing that made you fall in love with the business, that made you say to yourself, you know what, I got to be a part of this. I got to be in the pro wrestling business in some way. What inspired you?
Well, actually, that's not how it happened for me. How it happened for me is that Eric Bischoff and myself, we travel in our 20s. When we're in our 20s, we travel what is known as karate circuit, which is you get to back then I was teaching karate, and one of the things you wanted to do is you wanted to test your skills. So we would go to a tournament, and Eric lived about 100 miles away from me, and he worked for karate school. So on the weekend, we would drive to Atlanta, we would drive to North Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, Texas, Kansas City. So we would drive, spend our own money, and pay $25. And our thing was to test our skill in fighting. And frankly, it was the best part was that we knew we could pay $25 and beat people up and then end up in jail. So that was that was the best part. And that so Eric and I were teammates. He was in a different weight class, so we never fought each other. So we would travel together and do that. So we were friends, and we done some business together. And what happened was, if you get the Eric Bischoff DVD, just came out about 6 months ago. We talk about and how Eric Bischoff got in business, because I have created this game called Ninja Star Wars, which was kind of low-tech laser tag, was throwing the ninja stars, the Velcro ninja stars, at each other. And Eric loved the idea and took the game to AWA because they would have a national airtime. And he made a deal so we could advertise our stuff, the game on wrestling show. And believe it or not, that's how Eric Bischoff got introduced to wrestling. And next thing you knew, he was selling actually programs, syndicated shows. Then he ended up being an announcer. And next thing you knew, he was being hired by WCW in Atlanta, Georgia. And kind of rest is history. How I got in the business was he called me one day and says, "Hey, I'm trying to repair some business in Japan, so why don't you come with me?" And we flew to Japan together, and I met with guys like Masa Saito, Sakaguchi, Choshu, and these guys looked like they wanted to kill us. And I jumped in with both feet because I was translating what Eric was saying. Turns out the prior management of WCW has taken like $500,000 on a talent deal and never produced the talent. So we had to fix that. That was my first basically a job that I had. And next thing I knew, they said that, hey, who's going to be our contact person at WCW? And Eric said, we got a skip and a beat. He said, oh, that'll be Sonny. and that's how I got in the business. And actually, that's how I became a liaison between two companies. And when they started, sending the talent over to WCW on the talent exchange program, they, none of them spoke English, so they needed a English-speaking Japanese mouthpiece. And that's how I became on-camera talent as Sonny Onoo, the manager of all the Japanese wrestlers, and later on, of course, I managed the Luchadors and Psychosis, La Parca, Silver King, Damien, all those guys, along with of course, in my later years, I was managing Ernest Miller, so which was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a great time. But that's how I got in business.
It's a very awesome story, just getting to hear a bit, about you and Eric Bischoff and your travels, and hearing about your managerial career. And now I wanted to ask you, who was your favorite guy to work with, to manage when you were there?
Well, one of the probably, as far as being a mouthpiece manager, when I managed Yuji Nagata, who still works with the New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I had to pick one person. In earlier days, he would probably be Ultimo Dragon. The man is phenomenal. He still wrestles today. After 20 years since then, he's still wrestling. He hasn't lost a touch. Of course, at one time, when I was managing Ernest the Cat Miller, he didn't need a mouthpiece. I was kind of like a sidekick. I was the reason why he lost the match. So it was kind of like a Rush Hour thing.
And I love that movie. I love Rush Hour. But yeah, those sound like some fun times. And I guess the next direction that I want to move into, Sonny, is well, before I get more into about WCW, how I hear that you're the innovator of the selfie. Can you tell us how that all came about and what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting enough. I was playing a character, obviously, and one of the things that Japanese tours were always known as carrying a camera, taking pictures. That was kind of like a stereotype Japanese tours. So, um, so I wanted, I said, let's take the camera and let's not, nobody's taking our picture. We'll just take our own picture. So I started doing that with a Fuji Instamatic 35 millimeter camera, one of those cardboard box throwaway cameras, and I started, snapping myself every time I made interest, and that was before it was called the selfie, and one of the most interesting things at one point Fujifilm actually offered us to sponsor a pay-per-view because of my selfie deal.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that happens on television, and I was doing that, taking a picture of myself and my wrestler, before it was called selfie, and before anybody else was doing it on regular basis on television. So people had kind of gave me this title of innovator of selfie, because I don't think anybody else has ever done that before me, and certainly on a regular basis on a weekly TV show.
So when you first started noticing people taking pictures of themselves, with their cameras or their phones, did you get thinking like, I remember when I used to do this back in the day?
Oh yeah, I could, just being before I was before its time. You know what I mean? I mean, I was doing it, and you got to remember what happened was when I did it. I had you have to go out and you have to have like a camera. Well, now the selfie that happens right now, it happens because of social media, because everybody has a camera on their phone. When a cell phone first came out, it looked like a walkie-talkie, if you remember.
Yeah.
It didn't have a camera. Camera on the phone didn't come out till literally 10 years ago.
Yeah, you're about right. 10 years ago, I think the first camera phone was made, and I remember when they first started the camera phone. It used to be just you could only take still shots.
Right.
Then it evolved into where you could video. Then it evolved into where you could take pictures and video in high def, and it just keeps evolving.
Oh yeah. But like I said, I'm cool with the title that I have. Innovative selfie. I mean, it's documented. I did it every week on television show. Every time I was on it, every pay-per-view. And so it's cool. At least I'm known for something.
Hey, it's a cool title to have. It definitely
Absolutely.
is. And I'll tell you, that was a fun story. I really enjoyed that. Now I want to switch gears, going back into WCW, and when you were there, when the Monday Night Wars was going on, and you were around in the height of this. Was WCW, especially, when the Monday Night Wars just started, that's when you guys were catching up on the WWE, and you eventually took them over for 84 weeks. how was the demeanor, with everybody at work at that time? Was everybody under a lot of pressure, or were you guys at WCW more laid back because you guys felt like, all right, we're gonna take them over. We're really gaining a lot of traction here. Like, what was it like just in the back at those times?
Well, I think what happened was I mean, to answer your question, it was pretty helter skelter backstage. They would bring 80 wrestler into a show, and obviously, everybody's under contract, so you got to show up anyway. But then you show up, and you didn't know you were going to be on the match till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, so they were literally writing the show as it was evolving, it was changing, shit was happening as it happened. So yeah, I would say, especially we finally beat him on a rating, and now you want to keep beating him on a rating. That's a lot of pressure. So I mean, obviously, I was not in a booking. My part was to bring in talents. Introduce talent, great talents from all over the world. So that was as far as the people that was in programming. I think it was amazing amount of pressure for them. Not for talent, but they said, okay, you got to match with so and so, go out and kill them. Which they were willing to do, because that was really a time they get to shine. On an 8-minute match, you know, you got millions and millions of people watching you. I mean, you want to go out there and put the best foot forward. And so as far as the talent goes, there's no pressure. They want to go out there and just do the best and show what you can do. Having that platform to showcase yourself. But I think in people that was in the office that was writing and booking, I think there's a lot of pressure.
Oh, I can imagine, because you guys are trying to take down the biggest wrestling juggernaut at that time, the WWF at the time, now WWE. And, you guys had such an awesome product. I was always one of those, flip flopping back and forth, making sure I try to catch, everything, because I was just hooked. I was hooked. These wars just had me sucked right into them. And, I just noticed when it got to, what was it, around 90, 90, maybe starting in 98 or 99, I noticed, things started slipping a little bit for you guys. And then I know they ended up bringing Russo in, and things just got worse once Vince Russo got there.
Well, yeah, let me tell you a little bit about what happened. It was actually end of 2000, towards, I think it's like September, October. I think it's October of 2000. They fired Eric Bischoff. Um, I won't go into detail of a bunch of stuff, but there was people that was in the front office um, didn't like what Eric was doing, and there was a guy named by Bill Bush who was actually a bean counter. He kind of created a coup, got ousted Eric. Um, and that was on the end of '99, and for and here's a man who has no idea. I'm sure it's a great account, but as far as wrestling business, dealing dealing with wrestling talent, he has no street skills whatsoever. So you bring in, somebody convinced him to bring Vince Russo in as a head writer, and he just made a thing. He made the product worse than he was. He'll probably tell you that he was messed up when he got there, but I tell you what, I mean, think about all the book, some of the insane booking he did. putting the belt on Buff's mom. Um, I mean, there was some crazy stuff that was going on. He just got away from wrestling, and he and after that, they did bring Eric back for a brief time, but company was already um, um, on the way out, and I think within that 12 months, I think that's when WCW was basically sold, um, and to WWE. But let me go back and tell you uh, uh, the doing when we were competing head to head. I don't think at any point, at least in my perspective, that we were trying to take down WWF. Um, we just wanted to be real competitive. Sure, we wanted to beat them on rating for bragging rights, but I don't think at any point anybody had any illusion or delusion of any delusion of that we were going to take them out of business. I don't think that was any part of it.
And you very well could be right. I mean, I know you guys were going back and forth for a long time, and yeah, I've watched all of the Monday Night Wars, like all the documentaries and everything they put out on WWE Network. And yeah, you're exactly right what you said when Vince Russo got there. Like, if you were to ask him the question, he would probably say when he got there it was already a mess. And that's exactly what he did say in that documentary. And I'm with you, Sonny. I put it on the shoulders of Russo because WCW was fine until they decided to fire Bischoff and bring in Russo. I mean, everything was moving fine at that point. I mean, yeah, maybe things were slipping a little bit, but nothing to the degree of when Russo walked through the doors.
And I hear the different stuff. I mean, I don't notice. I mean, I was there, and I just signed a 2-year contract and end of '99, and and Russo decided to take all the Mexicans and all the Japanese off television, without any. Only thing he said was he was from America and he just wanted American on TV, and he didn't want any Japanese or Mexican on television. This is a kind of very racist statement to begin with. And when you're working for a big corporate, you can't use their national origin to exclude them from working. That's how dumb he is. But anyway, he'll sit there and deny that whatever the reason that he decided, and not only that, there was a financial repercussion from that. Because at that point, I think New Japan was paying us about $1 million a year to use our talent on their show. That went away right away when he did that. So, and just think, I mean, if you have a company, why would you exclude a group of people that it is part of your, a talent? That you need talent to fill the show. But to exclude them because just because of their national origin, it's kind of silly.
Oh, that's if you could only see my reaction, Sonny, when you said that, it blew me away. I'm like, that's an incredibly racist thing for Russo to do. I mean, it doesn't surprise me why he failed, now after hearing that. I mean, and with this kind of behavior, with him just wanting Americans on TV, did any of this wash over into like backstage politics, like backstage in the locker rooms or anything? Did everything just start kind of boiling over with his actions, like a divide, like you had Americans?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, I was already gone, I was gone at 2000. So So, but their product really suffered. Um, it was just, I can't think of one good thing he ever did. Um, you know, and when they brought Eric back, try to save the company, he was so far gone. Um, and of course, those two didn't get along. So it was part of struggle at that at best. And that showed on their product. I mean, it's too bad. Um, but there's a lesson to be learned from that as well. But let's talk about what's going on today. You got New Japan show in LA who sold out in about 2 hours. New Japan's making their way into United States market. Um, like what I said at the beginning of the show, where there's a lot of independent show. Just imagine, for those wrestling fans out there, that you can go right now. You can go and there's a lot of different, because of technology. There's a lot of different outlets out there. I work right now as a consultant to get a lot of different content from all over the world, such as Let's Way, which is a bare knuckle kickboxing from Burma, the country of Burma. And we just did a show on the 16th a couple of days ago, and so I work for a company called Fight TV, FITE, and you can download free on your app, and you get to watch New Japan shows, All Japan shows. You get to watch these pro wrestling shows that normally you don't get to see, as well as the MMA show, like Chen Wu Min, which is a big MMA company out of Shenzhen, China. ACB, which is the MMA company out of Russia. So those are the things that we're, and along with the Ring of Honors and TNA and all those things, pay-per-view, you get to see those things on a Fight TV. So if you get a chance, download Fight app, FITE TV, and it's free. And there's some free content out there, but as well as pay-per-view that you get to watch. And what's great about one of the greatest technologies is that you can watch on your phone, push a button to any smart TV. You can broadcast what's on the phone to a smart TV, such as Google TV, Apple TV, and so on.
And
so so it's a great stuff. Everybody should just go out there and check it out.
I totally agree. I agree. Everybody should do that because you know what, Sonny? I do have the Fight TV app, and I gotta tell you, I do exactly what you said. What you told everybody to do. That's just what I do. I find content. I'll press the button to have it go right to my TV, and I just start watching. It's great stuff.
And best part is it's on demand. You get to watch it when you want to watch it, from wherever you want to watch it from,
Yeah, you can't beat that.
No, technology is changing. How we watch television, how we entertain ourselves is changing rapidly.
And it's interesting that you brought up New Japan, because I've really gotten into the New Japan product earlier this year. I started, by watching Wrestle Kingdom. The first ever Wrestle Kingdom I saw, I believe, was Wrestle Kingdom 9 when they had it on American pay-per-view. And then I watched on and off, throughout the first couple of years. And then when it got to Wrestle Kingdom 11 and I seen that Okada-Omega match, and that was one of the greatest matches I ever saw. It made me fall in love with their product to where I've been more steady with it. And then I ended up watching Dominion 10 days ago, the rematch with Omega Okada. Those guys are absolutely incredible, and I hope to see them in the main event at Wrestle Kingdom 12 because they're lighting the world on fire.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. I think many American wrestling fans will be amazed. Um, I'm pretty sure they'll be amazed at what they can see in some of the Japanese, wrestling. I'm bringing. We were just talking about New Japan, but there's a company called All Japan that'll be on Fight TV shortly, and Wrestle One, who is now if you guys remember, a guy named by Kaz Hayashi, who was at WCW. He is now the president of Wrestle One.
Oh,
The chairman is a great Muda. So their product going to be great. Uh, so there's a lot of good stuff coming that the new wrestling fan can see, and I truly believe, and I don't mean to be too disparaging to any company that is out here now, but competition is good for business. Burger King is great for McDonald's.
yeah.
Um, uh, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and all those fast food choice you have is good for business. Whether I have $10 to spend for lunch, having choice, it's good for the consumer, and that's making the people who's offering product have to put up a better product so they can compete. And when New Japan, Old Japan, those guys start coming into our platform like Fight TV and maybe even on some of the cable networks, that's great for wrestling fans. And end of the day, it's great for business.
It is. It really is, because you know what? If you just have one company out there and no competition to challenge said company, it's going to get boring. You need that variety. You need that challenge. You need that competitive spirit.
Just imagine this. Way back in the days when they were building cars, when Henry Ford built himself the Model T, if there was no other company except Ford Motor Company, do you think there's no reason for them to innovate, to make things better, faster, safer? And competition makes you do that. And that same thing with any product that you get out there, whether it's wrestling, even a football. They have to constantly tweak the rules, change the viewer how they can watch the shows, pre-shows, post-shows. They have to make it better for the audience, and those things, because they compete on big sports. They compete with baseball and basketball, so they have to make themselves unique. And end of the day, that's all good for consumer.
Oh, definitely. You're 100% right about that. It's all good for consumer. And I'll tell you, Sonny, you sure walked us through, some fantastic things. And, you're working for for Fight, the Fight Network. That is awesome. So, you're still kind of around the wrestling business. And one thing I was curious, like there's a couple of couple more things I wanted to ask you. Just a couple of fun things here. Um, First off, out of all, you've gotten to be a great manager in the professional wrestling business, and what I wanted to know from you, you got to manage a lot of great people. But if there was any wrestler out there, it could be, could be any wrestler that, has passed away that's no longer with us, any wrestler that's around today in a company, any one single wrestler, if you had to choose that you did not get to manage that you really wanted to, who would you choose and why?
Well, I think any manager will tell you that people who's bigger than life, Andre the Giant will be probably any manager's, top of the list. I would believe, just because you talk about somebody who is really bigger than life. Um, it's probably Andre the Giant. As far as people that in the history of wrestling. But I will tell you, currently, on a current product, I think that I could help is with a few of the Japanese wrestlers that is on WWE right now. You got a guy Nakamura who's amazing talent, entertaining, but because he doesn't speak English, and even when he does, it's such a broken English, and I'm not faulting him for that because it's very difficult. He's a Japanese guy who lived in Japan, speaking English as a second language. It's very difficult to communicate. You know what I mean? You don't want people to be going, "What did he say?"
Yeah.
Here's a guy who can use the manager, and not necessarily me, but someone like me. I think it would really help him. Now, that's what manager's job anyway. Um, to be a mouthpiece for some of the talents, and you got a great female talent over there. Probably one of the greatest female talents that as far as the worker is concerned is Asuka at WWE, and they're not going to get. They can only go so far because their product consists of action, which is in-ring performance, as well as storytelling. So they lack the storytelling part because they can't communicate clearly. It's hard to make the story work. So I would love to be able to help them. It's not for nothing. It's not for nothing. But like I said, someone like me, they could use help.
And you know what? I totally agree. And because they really do need the mouthpieces, they really do. But as far as the wrestling goes, they're they're about as good as you could get. I mean, hey, maybe there's a chance out there, Sonny, that you might get that call one day. Maybe someone from there is going to listen to this interview, and then they'll be like, you know what? We're gonna take it. We're gonna take Sonny up on this. Let's get him in here.
About 15 years ago, there was a guy named by Kenzo that was at WWE, and I did talk to them a little bit about possibilities. They did call me and ask me. The timing wasn't right for me. I mean, there was, my kids were, they're all grown up now. So, but I was enjoying being a father and being able to go to the soccer game and their wrestling matches and stuff. So, I was having a great time here, enjoying my life as a father. So, that timing wasn't right. But I mean, like I said, I hate to see such a great talent like Nakamura and Asuka not being able to take it to their pinnacle of, success at that venue. Because the rule, they're handicapped because they can't communicate, and be able to to fit into the storyline.
Oh yeah, and what's something here is that I remember Kenzo Suzuki back in the day.
Yeah.
I do remember him, and yeah, he could have definitely benefited from someone like you for sure. But yeah, if timing's not right, it's not right. You got to do what you got to do, and it's totally understandable. And for you being a wrestling manager, I have another question for you here. You being a wrestling manager, when you look back on many other people that have done the same job that you have done, do you have any favorite wrestling managers in the business that you really enjoyed that did the same job as you did?
Well, you know what? I mean, I will tell you when I literally, you know, broke into business, because I was, all of a sudden I was a manager. I think it was in pay per view in '95, I believe it was, when we did a World War III. When it was New Japan versus WCW. My team had a Masa Saito, Kensuke Sasaki, Kanemoto, Jushin Thunder Liger, and the great New Japan talent going against Sting, Luger, and so on. But what was the amazing thing about that period is that most kind people that helped me develop my character, the Bobby the Brain Heenan, Gene Knowlton, these guys got amazing amount of wrestling knowledge, and Jimmy Hart was, even to this day I talk to Jimmy. Um, uh, Great help. Um, Give me a little tweak here and tweak there with my character, and what you should do and what you shouldn't do in a match. Um, you know, um, Everything from pointing where the hard camera was. Those are the guys who I owe amazing amount of gratitude. Um, and they were very kind and very nice to a green Japanese kid who was out there managing all the wrestlers.
And yeah, all like I had the chance to meet Bobby the Brain Heenan and Jimmy Hart in person, and those are a couple of real stand-up guys. They really are. They're really nice to their fans. Even me and Gene, I got to meet him too. Another great guy, and yeah, those are some of the best, some of the all-time greats right there. And we're getting near the end, Sonny. I'm down to my last two questions. I don't mean to keep you, but I'm down to my last two.
Fire away.
We talked about what it was like doing business with Eric Bischoff, and just curious, even though you didn't really work with these guys, I'm curious to get your point of view, what you think about them. Uh, how do you feel like you've done business with Eric, and how do you feel about the way that men like Paul Heyman did business and men like Vince McMahon did business? What do you think of the way they do business, compared to Eric?
Well, I can only tell you that. I mean, that's I worked with Paul, Paul and I had a discussion. We had a couple of dinners way back right after I left WCW, but doing stuff together and with his program at ECW. Paul's an amazingly intelligent person. My dealing with Paul, we never really did business together, but he's just a very, very smart guy. He's a great manager on camera, but he knows more about business probably off camera. So I have nothing but great thing to say about my experience with Paul Heyman. Now, unfortunately, with Vince McMahon, obviously he is the pinnacle in professional wrestling. He rules that universe, and certainly in North America, if it's not worldwide. So I have nothing but respect for him. But I never worked for him, so I can't really compare that. You know what I mean?
I got you. Yep. And I'll tell you, Sonny, we're down to the last question before we conclude this interview, and I'm excited to ask this because I'm excited to get your input. as we know, WCW was bought out by WWE. So where I'm going with this is, if you were, because there's been many managers to step into the hallowed halls of the WWE Hall of Fame, and I'm just curious, if you were to get that call from, say, a WWE higher up, or maybe Triple H or Vince McMahon himself, and they were to tell you that we're going to put you in this year's class, considering everything that you've done and the decorated career that you've had as a manager, what would it mean to you to take your rightful place inside the Hall of Fame?
Well, look, just like anything else. I mean, I was recently, because my, before I was involved in professional wrestling, and I'm still am involved in martial arts. I was awarded A3 black belt a year ago, and it's an honor to be recognized for your achievement or your involvement into organization, whether it's in martial arts or in professional wrestling. But honestly, I'd be flattered. But I think there's a lot more people out there deserve, in my mind anyway, to be in the Hall of Fame. I did play a little part in the history of wrestling, doing it one of the best time in wrestling. I think in history of wrestling, I think 95 to 2000 was best time for all that is involved in professional wrestling, and I am just happy to say that I was there during that time. To get back to your question, yeah, of course I'd be flattered and be honored, but it's not something that I don't foresee that is or happening. But it's just like anything else. You're honored by somebody recognizing you for your contribution to any program that is out there. And I think as I move forward, I get to stay involved with international wrestling, international martial arts, international MMA, and kickboxing. With the Fight TV, I get to do all of that. So I am absolutely having a good time. I just spent 2 weeks in Japan acquiring some content, and we're trying to do some stuff with Dragon Mania from what Asai has in Mexico. So there's a lot of opportunities. I'm in discussion with MMA company in Russia. So there's a lot of good stuff happening, and I'm just happy that and fortunate to be able to be involved and look, man, I make living doing what I like to do. It's like it's like getting paid for eating, and I enjoy every minute of it. So I'm a very blessed person with a wonderful family who supports me. Look, man, I'm a luckiest man in the world.
You know what, Sonny? I think you said it best. To do what you have done, and you're here at this point in your life, you're at a great place in your life, and you're still doing what you love and you're enjoying it. Honestly, you could not ask for anything better than that. You really couldn't.
I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, honestly, I was just talking to, I was talking to Eric Bischoff not that long ago, and did one of these podcasts, and all the things we got to do. I mean, because of martial arts, I went to South Africa and met at that point he was the sports minister, and later became President de Klerk, who eliminated apartheid. I met him in 1986, and in 1996, I got to go to North Korea with Antonio Inoki and Muhammad Ali, and got to see things that not very American ever get to see. Um, so thing I got to do because of my involvement in my martial arts or in professional wrestling, you know, I got to do things that people don't get to see. Normal people don't get to see. So I am blessed, and I'm happy. And listen, uh, thank you so much for having me on your show. And let me know if you want my 2 cents sometime, and I'll be glad to come back to your show.
Oh, Sonny, that sounds great. I would appreciate it. And if you have anything that you'd like to promote, like upcoming, I don't know if you have any upcoming signings or shows for the wrestling fans or anything with social media or like a website. If you'd like to promote it, feel free. The show is yours.
Yeah, I'm in a Facebook. I'm the Sonny Onoo. So you're welcome to check out my page. I'm usually letting people know whether it's in martial arts or doing something for Fight TV or Lucha Pride Pro Wrestling out of Texas or Hood Slam in Oakland. You can find out where I'm at and what's going on, and just follow me on the Facebook, and hopefully I'll be seeing you soon.
Awesome. That sounds great. And Sonny, I would like to say thank you, and I appreciate your time, and I'm sure the fans, they feel the same way. And you definitely had a decorated career, and you're living a great life, and it's always great to have a feel good story like this on the show. And I really appreciate you being here. And now, right before I sign off to the live audience, can you hold on for just 1 minute, and then I'll be back with you on the line after I sign off with the live audience here?
Okay, good enough.
All right, I'll be right back on with you in 1 minute, Sonny. And to all of you, the live audience, thank you very much for listening and tuning in tonight to episode number 67 of the Beyond the Ring with Big T Wrestling podcast with Mr. Sonny Onoo, WCW legend. And can't thank him enough for being here, and I hope to get Sonny back on the show sometime soon. This is just an incredible honor tonight, and I hope to have Sonny back soon. And all of you, I hope to see you very soon. I'll be back next week with episode number 68 of the Beyond the Ring of Big T Wrestling podcast. And another thank you to Mr. Sonny Onoo for being here tonight. And to all of you, thank you for listening. I'll see you next week. You all take care. I love you all. And good night, everybody.